Everybody, welcome in Concrete Jungle, a New York baseball podcast, Monday morning, August 15th. Coming to you guys live. We're on the third floor of North Park Building, FairLakes1.com. Paul Russo, Kyle Evans is over there to my right. Nate Sharman behind the scenes, as always. How's the weekend, boys? Seems shorter than it really felt, but
yeah, it definitely went really quick.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. How was your weekend?
Tired, short. Need a couple extra hours of sleep. What are you going to do?
For sure.
I played golf, which is a shocker.
In a stunning turn of events.
Didn't play that well, but I was out there. So.
In another stunning turn of events.
It's hard. Golf is hard.
Yeah, no, I can't confirm. As you decided to properly roast me last week for. So, so there's it was an interesting week. Excuse me, a tale of a couple of different teams for the Mets and the Yankees over the course of the weekend. Rochester, Syracuse played some good ball. Both teams did, but Rochester able to obviously kind of break out a little bit post big losing streak like they did. I know Syracuse dropped their series at Buffalo, but a lot of positives still to take from it. Then a couple, other things I want to discuss. I know Yankee fans were in the news once again over the weekend a little bit regarding IKF, and we're going to touch on that a little bit as well. But other than that, it kind of felt like a bit of a quiet-ish type weekend, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think, just the way everything kind of shook out with the trade deadline and that kind of need the little bit of the quiet stuff every now and then, I'd say, to kind of reset and recharge.
Yeah, and I feel like we're getting to the point in the season where there's just been so many games, and you kind of just want the postseason to get here. Regular season games kind of just drag on.
Yeah, we're definitely in the definition of the dog days of summer for baseball. So let's jump right in. Let's start with the Mets because they're in the middle of an interesting stretch of games where they face the top two, I guess two of the top three teams in their division. Obviously, they're number one in the NL East. But that being said, they're in the midst of 16 games in 18 days against both the Phillies and Braves. The Phils were in town down in Queens this weekend. The Mets able to take 2 of 3. Friday night was a 2-1 Philly victory in 10 innings. Noted baseball name Sir Anthony Dominguez picked up the win out of the bullpen, 6-3, a 1.49 ERA for him. Kyle Evans picked up loss, 6-3, a 3.63 ERA. Now for the Met reliever, and David Robertson picked up the save, 16th collective on the season. Max Scherzer had the start Friday night, no decision, 7 innings pitched, 9 hits, single earned run by him and 6 strikeouts. Met offense was collectively pretty quiet overall. Darren Ruff 1 for 3 with a double. Then Mark Hanna went 0 for 2, walk and a sacrifice RBI. Let's bring in the lone Met run of the game. But if there was a positive, pretty much was the only negative really throughout the weekend for the Mets was that game in and of itself. And certainly a game like that, they did lose one game in the division to the Braves through the weekend. And but that being said, if that's your only loss of the weekend to a division rival who is kind of, barking down the tail a little bit and riding a lot of momentum, I'd certainly will put that in the back pocket as something that you may have to deal with every now and then. Take it just on the chin. Like I said, if that's going to be the only negative of the weekend, I think that's a pretty big positive overall.
Yeah, that loss wasn't a big deal at all. I mean, that loss actually snapped a 6-game win streak, which obviously, you're not going to win every game. There's some positives from the game. Scherzer obviously threw the ball well again. But then they bounced back nicely, and that's all you can ask for is just keep winning series.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, we'll bring up a little bit, I think, with the game on Saturday here, which was a 1-0 Met victory. Jacob deGrom picked up the win there, moves to 2-0, 1.62 ERA. Aaron Nola took the loss, 8-9 now on the year, 3.07 ERA, and Sugar Diaz picked up his save, his 27th. DeGrom, 6 innings, 2 hits allowed and 10 strikeouts. Trevor May, a shutout inning in relief, collecting 2 strikeouts. Pete Alonso, 1 for 3, RBI single, which came in the first inning. This is a Met team that, we've mentioned throughout the year. Sometimes the offense can struggle, in a little bit of that case on Sunday. That being said, perfect example of allowing, right, that offense or that pitching staff, rather, to pick up the one side of the ball that is being let down in a way.
Yeah, and I feel like that's been the theme though all year. The Mets pitching is always really good. The bullpen might struggle a little bit, but more times than not, the pitching's always there. Sometimes it's a question if the offense is there, and that was kind of the case the first 2 games, but they were able to, get a win on Saturday, so that was a nice bounce back win for them.
And it was a little bit of in a way, and I don't mean to do this, I guess, mockingly in a way, but, obviously the joke about DeGrom through the years has been lack of run support for him, and a little bit of a similar situation there as well, obviously. Sunday, a 6-0 victory. The offense did show up for Chris Bassett, who collected his 10th win on the year, moves to 10-7, a 3.27 ERA. Zach Wheeler, former Met legend, 11-6 now. He took the loss, 2.92 ERA. Bassett, 5 innings, 4 hits, and 5 strikeouts. Mark Canha, again, 2 for 4, an RBI and a run scored. And Danny Vogelbaum's 1 for 4, a solo home run for him. Obviously, run support did show up Sunday. Ended up being quite the exclamation point to down the Phillies in the rubber match of that series.
Yeah, as I mentioned the last episode, Daniel Vogelbach is just always there. Seems like he's always, honestly, it seems like he's been hitting a lot of home runs. But yeah, it was just a great addition for them at the deadline. Chris Bassett continues to throw the ball well. Mark Canha chipping in, another guy that came over from, this year, new guy, just always chipping in. It seems like they just got guys all over the order that just contribute.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we highlight top performers, but I know, like Pete Alonso also had an impact Sunday, as did Francisco Lindor. So you bring up, obviously, the mention, obviously, that, guys coming over, Connell from Oakland with Bassett in that deal, Vogelbach, the midseason trade with Pittsburgh, stuff like that. In addition to what they already have going, I mean, that's always a very big positive momentum shift there. It's interesting with the Mets, obviously. We keep bringing up, I guess, in a sense, really, that, how they got to get strong, played 5 ball. But now they're trending back, for sure, I'd say, at this point, to the way they started the year off. Out of the gate's strong, out of the gate's good. And, we've mentioned this now the past couple weeks in bits and pieces, whether it's specifically highlighting Edwin Diaz or specifically highlighting Daniel Vogelbach. Obviously, Pete Alonso post-home run derby and all-star break. But this is now a team that is really starting to transcend not just the fan base, right? And to me, not just general baseball fans anymore, but when you're able to grab the attention of the general sport fan at this point, that's beyond huge. I mean, obviously, we mentioned kind of the TikTok stuff going on now with Edwin Diaz's walkout music, and now Vogelbach's becoming a little bit of a TikTok social media sensation because of his, I'll call it because of the size. I am comedic size in nature, the way he's playing baseball. And to me, I think when these guys kind of ride that momentum and have this kind of backing behind them, it tends to be a bit of a hard thing to stop. It's a lot of good downhill momentum.
Yeah, as I mentioned the other day off air, the Mets are just a lot of headlines with them this year. Normally it's negative headlines. This year it's positive, and it's really cool to see that they've turned the corner after a couple rough years. Obviously with last year they just struggled. Their pitching was always there. Their offense struggled. Lindor struggled. And now everyone just is bounced back nicely. Buck Showalter's doing a wonderful job, as the manager, and it's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, and you bring up a good fact too with that is, the positive headlines out in New York now are associated with the Mets. Obviously, we'll touch on the Yankees stuff when we get there, but in the past few years, it has been that, right? It's been typical, it was the joking Mets meme fashion of, well, they're the Mets, the lol Mets, and again, they certainly aren't that this year. And another thing to touch on, this is something that, the Yankees are dealing with too in a way, right, is the deadline moves and or lack thereof in certain situations on both teams that we look at, but clearly there is a chemistry within this team that they didn't quite want to maybe bust up and break out or anything like that. And it's clearly, to me, paying dividends. I mean, this is a team that they all pull for each other, all have a lot of fun together. You don't see a ton of, I'd say, negative publicity coming out of that clubhouse at this point. It's a lot of positive vibes and positive. At this point, I even go on the content side of things. I mean, the Mets TikTok, it's kind of funny to follow. If Eduardo Escobar has kind of become a star of it in a way where it's like, they have the jokingly "give me 5 minutes," tagline with him to come back with an answer or something. So that's always something very positive to see. I think the team camaraderie aspect of it is something that we often overlook sometimes. And to me, with the Mets anyway, for sure, it's been one of the more positive things, really, to keep things going this year.
Yeah, I don't think Buck Showalter has had to call any team meetings for, any issues in the clubhouse like the Marlins had. So that's always good to see. But yeah, I think everything's just clicking right now, and it's the best time of year to do that. I mean, we're in mid-August, getting really close to the postseason, so they're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different with the Marlins, and as I call him, Donnie T-ball, but it is what it is. All right, some Mets news and notes. Not as quite as positive as last week on Friday, but their list is certainly shorter than the Yankees one that we collect. Infielder Luis Guillorme will be undergoing an MRI today on his groin. Heard it yesterday on the scoring play in the first inning. He does not personally know how it's going to turn out. He said it progressively got tighter and tighter as the game went on. Thought he'd be fine, but clearly not. We'll touch on who he was given the off day to in a second here, but he's not sure, depending upon how the outcome of this MRI goes, whether or not a trip to the injured list will happen. Guillorme's kind of been one of the more unsung heroes on this team, really. Former top prospect, kind of has had to wade the waters with the Mets a little bit. So hopefully everything goes good with him there. Obviously, the aforementioned a little bit, third baseman Eduardo Escobar, he himself is dealing with a left oblique issue. It's tight. He doesn't think it's going to be a big deal. That being said, he was held out of the lineup initially on Sunday, had to come in for Guillorme by the end of the game. Eduardo was a switch hitter. He ended up facing Brad Hand, left-hander reliever for the Phillies, left-handed because of the issue. So he thinks he can stay in the lineup. That being said, the effectiveness certainly probably is not there for one of the better Mets hitters contact-wise this season.
Yeah, I totally missed that. How did that at bat go?
Yeah.
Did he strike out?
I'm not too sure about that, admittedly, but given the fact that it was a 6-0 ball game when it happened, I wouldn't put too much weight into the
I'm
equation.
surprised they
there.
didn't just tell him to stand from the right side and just take pitches.
Right. Positive news for the Mets, though. Right-hand pitcher Tommy Hunter, relievers, began a rehab assignment over the weekend with AA Binghamton. Right-hand pitcher Drew Smith has started a throwing program, and same with Tyler Magill. He threw his first full bullpen session yesterday. And then good news, I think, for the cult fans of the Mets here. Travis Jankowski, the outfielder, signed a minor league deal. He'll be reporting to Syracuse at some time this week. Again, he'll be acting in outfield depth situations for the Mets at this point. Spent most of the year really for Syracuse up until the Mets needed him a couple different times over. Got DFA'd. Seattle took a flyer on him. He got DFA'd there, elected free agency. And the Mets, to me, luckily, given the way he played this year, is coming at least back to the organization.
Yeah, and my biggest takeaway from those notes is the two pitchers that they should be getting back probably next month. And that'll help their bullpen. Tyler McGill was obviously a starter, but I think he'd be a good bullpen piece as well.
Well, that's the plan. He will be in the bullpen once he comes back.
Yep. So I think he'll do well in that role, though. And Drew Smith, obviously, is another reliever that they could use. I don't know. I think things are looking good on their side of the injury report. As long as the MRI looks good for Guillorme.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Obviously, I mentioned it off the top a little bit, but the Mets see a familiar foe to get the week going. They're heading down to the Atlanta, Cobb County area to face the Braves. 4 games to get the week going. Braves currently sitting 70 and 46 second in the NL East, 5.5 back. Monday through Thursday matchup. Tonight, a 7:20 first pitch on SNY. Carlos Carrasco will go for the Mets, 13 and 4 on the year, 3.76 ERA. Against Spencer Strider, 6 and 4, 3.11 ERA for the rookie. Tuesday, 7:20 first pitch once again, also on SNY. Taijuan Walker, 10 and 3, a 3.43 ERA for him. Be facing against Charlie Morton for the Braves, 5 and 5, a 4.26 ERA. Wednesday night, 7:20 first pitch on SNY. Max Scherzer, 8 and 2, a 1.93 ERA, going against the recently acquired Jake Odorizzi, 4 and 4, 3.80 ERA for him. And then Thursday, the final game of the series, 7:20 on SNY. At the moment, Jake DeGrom, 2 and 0, a 1.62 ERA against to be announced for Atlanta. I don't like phrasing it like this, but the Mets certainly don't need to win this series. They can go and split 2 and 2 and be perfectly fine. That being said, it's not the idea I like kind of carrying through it with it. That being said, I mean, the Mets are playing really good ball. Atlanta over the weekend, big series. They ended up sweeping 4 games without using any really of the main guys pitching-wise in the starting rotation. So it's going to be a toss-up. I'm stuck between 2 and 2 and Mets going 3 and 1 in it. I think I'm going to go 2 and 2, though. I mean, this is a pretty good pitching matchup series across the board. And obviously Thursday, the question mark with who Atlanta might throw kind of remains in question.
DeGrom gets run support.
Right, exactly.
I think I'll go with you a 4-game split. I don't know. I honestly think they lose tonight. I think the Braves win tonight, and I think the Braves win Thursday. I know DeGrom's starting, but I think the run support is an issue.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I'm not too sure. Like I said, it's going to be interesting. This is about as good a series as you can get to start the week in my mind.
Yeah,
and it's going 4 games. It's big across the board for both teams for different reasons.
For sure.
All right, let's head over to Yankee land. Rough weekend for the Yankees. Dropping the series in Boston. Only taking 1 game, and that was on Saturday, which we'll obviously touch on in a minute here. Friday night, a final in 10 innings. Boston 3, the Yankees 2. Garrett Whitlock picked up the win, 3 and 2, a 3.03 ERA for him. Lou Trevino picked up the loss, 1 and 7, a 5.70 ERA for him. Domingo Germán got the start, no decision, going 6 innings, 5 hits, giving up 1 earned run and 4 strikeouts. Aaron Judge went 1 for 2, home run, a hit by pitch, 2 walks, and a stolen bag. Anthony Rizzo had an RBI double, going 1 for 5 on the day. It kind of ended up being this same storyline throughout the series, kind of a lack of offense, where the pitching kind of really stepped up and did their thing, really, to be honest.
Except for Clay Holmes.
Right.
Won the save again.
We'll touch on that in a second as well, obviously. But, it's an interesting spot that the Yankees kind of find themselves in, right? I mean, this kind of goes back to maybe trying to find somebody or get somebody going through at the trade deadline and not really getting too much done in terms of maybe pure offense help. But, that being said, this is an offense that was firing away pretty much on all cylinders at the start of the year and really through up until beginning of July. In the past month to month and a half now, it's just been an offensive kind of wonderland where the only bat kind of really being consistent at this point has been Aaron Judge.
Yeah, this offense reminds me of April and May when we sat here saying how bad it was, and then all of a sudden it picked up. It just feels exactly like April all over again.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. It's tough. Obviously, we're in the dog days of summer. We'll discuss a potential bigger issue with when we get to our news and notes regarding some players. But I'm not too sure. Saturday, 3-2 Yankee victory over Boston. Aroldis Chapman picks up the win, moves to 1-3, a 3.94 ERA for him. John Schreiber, the loss for Boston. He goes to 3-2, a 1.91 ERA. Scott Efros picks up the save for the Yankees, his second on the season. Frankie Montas got the start, no decision, went 5 innings, 2 earned, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Before we move forward, I did want to highlight Montas real quick. Good to see him settle in this start. Kind of was shaky out of the gate, but that being said, did what he had to do. At least got to the point where, he was able to turn it over to the bullpen, leave the Yankees in it, and kind of move on. But like I said, good to see him more or less settle in this start.
Yeah, he was so much better than he was in St. Louis. He said nerves weren't an issue in his first start. I kind of feel like they might have been. He did look a little rusty too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good to see him, bounce back in a big game. I mean, Yankees and Red Sox, whether the Red Sox are bad or not, it's always a big game with the crowd in it and everything. But yeah, I'm excited actually to see him make his first start at the stadium. I believe in the next series against Toronto.
Andrew Benintendi 1 for 3 with a double, a walk, and 2 runs scored. Then Isiah Kiner-Falefa was the storyline on Saturday, 3 for 4, 2-run home run, his first home run on the season, and a sacrifice RBI in the 9th inning. We'll touch more on this, obviously, here in a second because it's something I do want to talk about. But good to see IKF really have a highlight day, a banner day for him in the Yankees uniform.
Yeah, as I call it, the Isiah Kiner-Falefa game. I mean, he drove in all 3 runs. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't.
Definition of looking at a 3-game sweep.
Yeah, and it would be another shutout.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good game for him. Hopefully he gets going. They really do need him to get going. I know a lot of fans have been, talking bad about him and to his family, as you're going to mention, I think, soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, good game for him.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, obviously, once we kind of move past our news and notes here. We'll really dive into that for a couple minutes. And then yesterday on Sunday Night Baseball, Boston 3, the Yankees nothing. Michael Wacha, 7-1, a 2.44 ERA. I didn't realize how actually good he was having a year up until he got hurt in June. But credit to Michael Wacha. He's honestly, not to get too far off track, but when he was with St. Louis, he was one of my favorite pitchers to kind of watch when he first came up. And if it wasn't for the fact that to swallow the pill that he's in a Boston uniform, he'd be having a really spectacular year. That being said, another guy who's having a good year, Jameson Taillon, did not really deserve to get the hand of the loss here, all things considered. 11-3 now on the year, a 3.95 ERA. Garrett Whitlock picked up the save, his 4th. Taillon went 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned, 4 Ks. Really only had 1 bad inning. Just, again, could not get any offense going. The Yankees only collected 2 hits. Benintendi went 1 for 4, and Andujar went 1 for 3. Those are only 2 hits on the game. So, again, just Taillon really kind of picked up the slack for everybody else and had to carry the bearing of having a loss in the column for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, they didn't even reach base other ways. I mean, they had 1 walk. They went 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position. Like, there just was not any traffic on the bases. Like, I think their at-bats all night were just not good.
And Wacha
Besides Judge in the 9th had a good at-bat against Whitlock.
Yeah.
It was like a 9-pitch at-bat.
I mean, Wacha was perfect through 5.
Yeah, so, like, it didn't seem very competitive, and a couple swings for the Red Sox, it felt like it was kind of over after that.
Yeah. It's been tough. I mean, the Red Sox are a team all year that has actually very much so struggled in division. And if it wasn't for one of the more wonkier, time you really see this is in baseball situations, where on Thursday they beat the Orioles and it was more or less a makeup game. They would have gone into the weekend series without a division series win on the year. They would have been, I believe it was 0-12 on the year going into that series. Now they're like 2-11 or something like that. But anyway, just look. I mean, you mentioned that, Kyle. I mean, every game, for Yankees Red Sox tends to be a big game, big series, big games, and it's certainly rough seeing the Yankees kind of struggle out of the gates with these at this point.
Yeah, and to be honest, we all know they should have won Friday night. I don't know what to do about Clay Holmes. I see a lot of people saying that he should just take an IL stint and figure out his stuff. I mentioned it earlier in podcast that I do think he's being overused. He's not used to this workload, but I mean, he faced the 7, 8, 9 hitters in the lineup on Friday night and couldn't get through them. And he gets to the top of the order and they make him pay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what to do.
And I'm with you. I don't know if he's necessarily tipping pitches either at this point, but it's a fact I brought up, a couple different times. That was the fact that he's now been he's now kind of highlighted being one of the top relievers in the league. It's a position he's never been in before. I just think, to be honest, I think the notebook, and this is probably a little bit of, in what you're saying as well, I think the notebook's just gotten too thick on him, and he's been, if you're pitching 5 out of every 7 games now at this point, that's, you're going to get overused, and people are going to see what you got pretty quickly.
Yeah, and the problem is, I know Aroldis Chapman back to closer role as a talk, but I just like where Chapman is. I feel like you shouldn't mess with what he's doing well. He's in that, usually that 8th inning guy, sometimes in the 7th. I just feel like if you put him back in the closer role, it's going to change things again.
And this is the part that sucks. This is potentially a spot where we could have seen, and I know he struggled out of the gate this year before he got hurt, and this guy obviously was really great before he got hurt, but this is probably a spot where we'd probably see Chad Green or Michael King get opportunities.
Yeah, losing those guys are huge right now. The bullpen, it is a concern. I don't know why fans are covering that up. The bullpen is a concern, especially for the postseason. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to need guys to step up. I really would like to see Clark Schmidt back.
Yeah.
I think he's a better option than some of the guys that they have out there. Ron Marinaccio should be back up.
Mm-hmm.
There's just things that they need to do, and hopefully they'll eventually make the moves.
Yeah. The Yankees news and notes is a bit thicker than the Mets. Infielder DJ LeMahieu, he's dealing with a sore right big toe. Apparently this has been an issue that's popped up since pre-All-Star break. He will have imaging done today, but he himself expects to be in the lineup tonight. This is a toe that apparently, as I mentioned, been an issue since before the All-Star break. Had a cortisone shot pre-All-Star break during it to kind of alleviate some pain. It's kind of poked itself back up a little bit here through the weekend.
Yeah, see, there's things that we just learned that we had no idea about. That's what I mean. I don't feel like we always know what's always going on. Aaron Boone does a great job at covering it. He didn't want this to become a story in the media, but eventually people found out, and now it's a story.
Yeah. Outfielder Giancarlo Stanton will have a full batting practice session today at Yankee Stadium, and if he goes well and they clear him, he should begin a rehab assignment later on this week. Utility man Matt Carpenter will not be putting weight on his left foot for at least another week or two. He will then have another set of x-rays done to see where progression is roughly around the September 1st mark. Obviously, there's a lot of hope that he will be back for the postseason and the postseason push. Outfielder Harrison Bader is alternating wearing a walking boot, which allows him to perform / not perform, depending upon obviously if he's wearing it or not, weight room activities. First time I think I've ever heard of alternating wearing and not wearing a walking boot in this type of situation.
Yeah, it is a weird update, but I really do hope they get him back mid-September like he's planning. It's just a nice left-handed bat to have, even off the bench.
Yeah. And then good news, I guess, in the pitching department here is we have some positive progress out of a bunch of different bullpen arms. Right-hand pitcher Miguel Castro has started to play some catch. They still expect him back sometime in September. All of a sudden here lately, Stephen Ridings, a name that you probably have not heard since really April, has began throwing bullpen sessions in Florida and could be sent to the complex at Tampa to do them. If they get him back as well, obviously it's a nice other arm to have coming out of the bullpen. Right-hand pitcher Luis Severino threw a flat ground session and is scheduled to throw from a mound today. And then left-hand pitcher Zach Britton threw live batting practice, about 19 pitches I saw last week. This week will be a deload phase for him where all he does is pretty much flat ground work. The plan at that point is pretty much do some stuff next week, and if all goes according to plan there, we could see him begin his rehab work at that point.
Yeah, adding Ridings and Britton to the pen would be definitely a boost.
Yeah, I know how you feel about Miguel Castro, but it would be nice having him back as well at this point.
Yeah, that's true too. I don't know who would be the odd man out. I'm thinking Litke.
I'm about to say Litke, at least left-hand wise.
But it's just weird that they've hung on to him so long. So I don't know. Maybe that's a guy they're obsessed with.
I wouldn't let Wandy go, but that's just me. I think Wandy's ERA, all things considered, is still incredibly low.
A lot of talk about Albert Abreu as well. Why is he not getting DFA'd? People are done with him.
Well, I don't think you can. I don't think you DFA him. I think you can option him. I think he still has one left.
Oh, see, I'm hearing that he doesn't have any options.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too sure, obviously, with the pattern he had with the Rangers and Royals, so I'm not too sure about
I mean,
that.
he has struggled, but right now I don't think it's the time to make the move, considering how like the bullpen is right now.
Right. For sure. So before we jump into this next series, I do want to talk about Isiah Kiner-Falefa. The fans not good interactions between him and his family on Twitter. Threats against his life, his parents' life. I know his dad came out over the weekend, kind of going at John Boy Media as well with it. Look, Yankee fans, I'm not going to run away from it. We have a bit of a reputation of not being the most kind group in the world when things kind of go awry. I mean, you look at, obviously the start of the year with Joey Gallo and him, more or less the way he was being treated, didn't leave his apartment at all except go to games. And that's far from the first player that's happened with. Gallo's is probably the most recent one with it. And it's really a shame because Kiner-Falefa, throughout the year, obviously, could he be better? Yeah. But he's been, in all honesty, one of the more consistent players collectively through that lineup, especially towards the bottom half of it, at least to me. I know maybe defensively hasn't been quite the year you don't want from him, and that's okay. That tends to happen. I still would rather have him at short than, say, Glaber, but it's becoming a bit of an issue again here with the psycho Yankee fans kind of going at these guys and their families.
The thing is, I believe the guy that did send the threat to his dad was 16 years old. So that's a problem right there. Yeah. The kid's not raised the right way. But yeah, no matter who you are, how old you are, you should never say that. I'm not sure what's going on with the John Boy Media stuff. I've heard about it, but I don't get why there's a problem with John Boy Media.
Well, I think they brought it up, and I don't know if it was on Talking Baseball or Talking Yanks, one of their own podcasts that they do. They were just more or less going through the stats and saying how it needs to be better, and they aren't necessarily wrong in that way.
It should not be a big deal at all.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing that they were doing with Gallo, and I don't know why fans are going crazy. I know. It was interesting. I know, like, Aaron Judge blocked a bunch of the guys over there over the weekend for whatever reason. I don't know the dynamic that they have between the Yankees at this point. Obviously, I know John Boy. You hear the name John Boy, you think of a couple different things, whether it's Astros coverage or Yankee homerdom at this point. I guess would be the best way to kind of describe it. But yeah, I'm not too sure what they exactly outright said in regards with the stats or anything like that. But certainly. No matter what, at the end of the day, the threats are not warranted. These are human beings at the end of the day, right? That's the part that I kind of try and compartmentalize a little bit with various things, right? I mean, I'll use this example in a way, and Nate can add this to the tally for NASCAR references I've used on this podcast before, but a few years ago before the pandemic, I had garage passes for the race weekend down at Richmond. And look, NASCAR drivers in and of themselves are usually pretty fan friendly, right? But at the same token, the way I look at it is they're at their job. Like, would you like to have people in your face when you're doing your job or anything like that? At the end of the day, Isiah Kiner-Falefa, whether it's Isiah Kiner-Falefa, Joey Gallo, whoever, right? They're doing that's their work, that's their job. I certainly wouldn't want anybody threatening my life just for doing my job. I can tell you that much.
I don't think I understand the hate for his play on the field.
It's to me, like I said, it's unwarranted.
Yeah, he's batting .269 with a 1.6 wins above replacement.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy that's going to be projected in the bottom half of your lineup.
It's because you have those advanced stat nerds that love to go to the advanced stats, and it shows that he's not actually what he should be. But at the same time, when they acquired him, you should have known what you were going to get from him based on.
It's not like Aaron Judge; he's not going to hit 1 billion home runs.
Well, the part that I struggle with here, maybe struggle is not the best term, but in general, Yankee fans, and I definitely don't see it this way. I mean, I was a very big Didi Gregorius supporter.
I love Didi.
You can ask my friends how that usually went.
Did he latch on anywhere, by the way?
Philly. He got DFA'd by the Phillies.
Yeah, but did he latch on anywhere else? I saw that news, but
not yet.
Okay.
But Yankee fans post Jeter have this really disillusioned image of what should be at shortstop. And it is what it is. I mean, we as Yankee fans probably were gifted the luxury of having a guy like that for a while. But you hit the nail on the head, right? Nate, is what more can you ask out of IKF? Not much. He's to me, he's doing a job, and to me, in all honesty, a little bit above and beyond. I'm not going to sit here and act like maybe I'd like more of him given his stats from last year. But that being said, it's a bit of an unwinnable situation sometimes when you're doing good and people still expect more out of you.
Yeah, I just agree with what Kyle said. It's you're getting what you kind of thought you would
Right.
get, and in my opinion, there's more bats to complain about than there is IKF.
And I also think it factors into how many people wanted Carlos Correa or Corey Seager. I think like Brian Cashman not making those additions just infuriates them. So when
Right.
Kiner-Falefa struggles, that's what they turn to. Why didn't Cashman make that move?
Yeah.
Why didn't he do that?
That's fair.
Like we
Yeah.
kind of knew why they didn't. They're waiting for their prospects.
Mhm.
Like that's been known. I don't know what has changed late in the season. Like why is it such a big deal now? We didn't hear about this in April, May, June. Now we're
Right.
hearing about it.
Definitely true. All right, we got to move on here. Yankees hosting the Tampa Bay Rays for 3 games this week. The Rays 60-53, third in the AL East. 11 games back, Monday through Wednesday series. Tonight, 7:05 first pitch on Yes, to be announced for the Rays. Garrett Cole for the Yankees, 9-4, a 3.38 ERA. Tomorrow night, 7:05 first pitch on Amazon Prime Video or TBS. Jeffrey Springs gets a start for Tampa Bay, 4-3, a 2.56 ERA against Nestor Cortez, 9-3, a 2.67 ERA. Then Wednesday night, 7:05 first pitch on Yes, Corey Kluber, 7-7, a 4.40 ERA against Domingo Germán, 1-2, a 4.18 ERA. Big series again for the Yankees. Every series at this point for in division is going to be more amplified at this point to me for them, the way it's gone down. That being said, the Rays have not been quite the Rays this year,
This
so
is a
I'm gonna
sweep.
go 2-1 though. I don't think sweep. I'm going 2-1.
This is a sweep. I mean, the Rays have no idea who's throwing tonight.
Yeah.
Cole's on the mound. Cortez tomorrow has been really well over the last month.
Yeah.
Kluber got rocked his last start, and he's Wednesday. Herman's been throwing the ball well. I just think there's a lot of positives.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to the offense.
Mm.
So we'll see how they do.
We'll see for sure. All right, before we get out of here, we have to discuss our friends on the throughway, the Rochester Red Wings and the Syracuse Mets. The Red Wings, they're dropping 19 straight. I've kind of found a little bit of a mini hot streak here.
Yeah, 3 or 4, right?
Yeah, 3 or 4 to wrap up and do a true split with the Norfolk Tides. Friday was a 12-5 win. Franklin Keome picked up the win there. He was actually had a no-hitter through his 5 innings pitch. And then I'll let you take a quick trivia guess here. Which reliever for the Red Wings blew the no-hitter for on Friday night?
Ooh.
Mm.
Is he former Yankee?
Yes. Oh, Nate's got it.
I think I know it.
Okay.
You can fire away.
Tyler Clippard.
Oh, no.
Is it Louis? Am I right?
Luis Avilan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know if he was still there.
I don't
can't
enjoy
remember.
dunking. I don't enjoy dunking on people. I always struggle when Luis Avilan comes out. I'm like, oh, here we go again. But yeah, 12-5 there. Nice win. C.J. Abrams and Alex Call really did a fantastic job. And there was a lot of stolen backs in that game. The Tides pitching staff did not look back anybody in that game. Saturday was a 5-1 victory for the Red Wings. Kay Cavalli got a big win. His probably career outing to this point at AAA. 7 innings, 3 hits, an earned run, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts. Alex Call again did showed up with his bat, 2-run home run. And then Sunday, a 12-7 loss. The Tides come away victorious over the Red Wings. Matt Harvey got the win. Daniel Ponce de Leon picked up the loss. Jacob Liu, though, had a pretty good day, 2 for 4 with the home run. John Nagowski picked up a couple hits, and David Dahl picked up a 2 RBI double. Couple news and notes. Andres Machado, right-hand pitcher, was optioned to Rochester from Washington. Right-hand pitcher Zach Birdie is on a rehab assignment with Single A Wilmington. Outfielder Colby Wilson's been assigned to Rochester from Single A Wilmington. Outfielder Alex Call was recalled to Washington, and outfielder Josh Palacios was optioned to Rochester. And then it's being reported, there's nothing official just yet, but it's being reported that C.J. Abrams has been called up to Washington with Luis Garcia slated to go to the injured list.
Yeah, that's exciting if you're a Nationals fan. A 21-year-old shortstop who has had a little experience in the major leagues this year with the Padres, but he hasn't had a ton of games, ton of experience, so it's going to be fun to watch.
Red Wings are going to be away the next couple weeks. This week they have their week-long series in Worcester against the Red Sox. So see, look at you, Kyle Evans, reporting the news there last night with C.J. Abrams.
Oh yeah, I was right on top of it.
I know they haven't made the official, but everything I've seen, whether it's been from you or I think I saw like on MLB trade rumors too. I mean, it's gonna happen. So
Credit to Jeff Passan for the news. Broke it first.
passing gas. Syracuse Mets ended up dropping the series to Buffalo. Friday was a 3-1 loss. Prospect Jose Buto picked up the loss for the Mets. He went 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Not bad for your first career AAA start, though, all things considered. Cisco Alvarez picked up an RBI single. Terrence Gore, the man holding the 9-hole spot in the order, 2 for 3 with a stolen bag. So shout out to Terrence Gore. Saturday, an 8-1 Syracuse Met loss. Mike Montgomery got the loss there. Some positives, though. Devin Marrero hit a home run and a stolen bag. Mark Vientos went 3 for 4. Good to see his bat really kind of finding that consistent streak. And then Rob Zatran, you see, went an inning and 2/3 in relief, only giving up a hit and 4 strikeouts. Yesterday on Sunday, a 2-0 loss. David Pearson picked up the loss there. Went 4 innings, 8 hits, 2 earned, 7 strikeouts and 2 walks. Brett Beatty had 2 hits, and Mark Vientos picked up a hit. That being said, I mean, Saturday was really only like true blemish through the weekend. Other than that, the Mets just really couldn't get any offense consistently going. There were bright spots, as I mentioned, but just nothing to really sustain through a whole ball game.
Yeah, and you're going to get those stretches. But yeah, this kind of looks like the beginning of the year when their offense struggled. But the thing is, their lineup is way different than it was. I think it's just a rough stretch. I think they'll get going eventually again, and they'll start winning more games.
Yeah. And for them, they granted the veterans release to right-hand pitcher Justin Dillon and shortstop Sui Wei Lin. A couple guys who were contributors at certain points just haven't gotten their opportunity with the big league club, so they will try and find it elsewhere. You mentioned, right, I mean, Lin hasn't been in the lineup for a while. I think this was kind of known. This is bound to happen, but, both these rosters for Rochester and Syracuse kind of been shifting and moving, but I think they're finally trying to get some consistency in both at this point roster-wise, and hopefully we'll see, like you mentioned, a little bit more improvement and kind of returning back to what they'd been doing here the past really collective month and a half, give or take.
Yeah, and honestly, I cannot believe Mike Montgomery is still with the club. The guy is just not
Veteran arm.
good.
It's a veteran arm.
I know, but he's just out there just throwing fastballs down the middle.
True.
I mean, they're not very fast either. So, I don't know. I don't think the guy has it anymore, but I guess, at least it's a starter that you have there.
Yeah. Syracuse, they're on the road this week down in Charlotte, taking on the Knights at really one of the more sneaky good ballparks in America. That's, I believe, their technically truest park, just the not the Atlanta one, but in Charlotte. So that's where they will be, and I believe they return home next week. So at least the Mets will be returning back and playing local ball here within the next few days.
Did you have a good time up at Frontier Field on Friday night?
I did, Nate. I did. They were the Cocos Locos on Friday night, which was exciting to see. Yeah, it was a really good game. Me and Hank, we missed your presence, Nate. I know you broke Nate or Hank's heart rather, and but that's okay. There's
always next time.
I think you might be the bad luck charm because that's the first Red Wing game that I've seen them win in person this year, and you weren't there for it.
I guess I can't argue with that logic.
Sabermetric stats that matter. All right, we will be back to our normal schedule here for the next foreseeable few weeks anyway, to my knowledge, barring Kyle just magically going up to Buffalo and covering the Bills again. But we'll be back Thursday this week, as normal as we usually do. Other than that, can't really think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, there big baseball games this week, so make sure you tune in and watch. Anything exciting for you guys midweek this week?
Before
or-
we go quickly, shout out to the game notes for this one. Paul, normally you go to the Red Wings games on Fridays, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, well, they're 9 and 11 on Fridays. So that's
Ooh.
probably why you haven't seen a win until
That's
just
true.
recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, just want to bring that up real quick.
Well, like I said, I blame Nate because it was the first time he didn't come with me this year, and they got the victory.
I can take the L on that. I got tough shoulders, Paul. Don't worry.
Well, if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
It's not their worst day, though. On Wednesdays, they're 4 and 10.
Oh, that's brutal. Wait,
Yeah.
Hold on. How are they 4-10, but on a Wednesday, but 9-11 on a Friday?
What's their best day of the week?
This is series based.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
gotcha.
So yep.
Ah.
Sorry.
Understandable. All right.
Been more clear.
It's all right. You're forgiven. All right, for Kyle Evans, Nate Sharman behind the scenes, Paul Russo. If you guys can't watch us live on YouTube here, you can always catch up there anytime, as well as Anchor, Spotify, and other major podcasting platforms. We will see everybody on Thursday. Have an awesome week, everybody. Talk to you then.